Hey guys, many people say that Front Royal is the gateway to the Shenandoah Valley, Skyline Drive, the beautiful part of this section of Virginia, but truly it's actually Dinosaur land right here. This is how I know that I'm almost a Front Royal, that I've hit the true South. And if I had timed this better, we would actually go into Dinosaur land first. But yeah, we'll keep going another 10 miles and I'll show you Front Royal, a beautiful hamlet, a beautiful city. All right, let's go. So we are on 522 heading south, maybe 10 miles or so. And in the distance, you see the mountains, the Blue Ridge Mountains, fast approaching. I think it's Blue Ridge. And yeah, better view as we drive in towards, I think it's Riverton, or as I say, home of Walmart and Target. But coming to the ridgeline, beautiful country. Now I know you guys realize I'm a big time supporter of McDonald's everywhere I go, but the reason why we're actually at this McDonald's right before we go across the Shenandoah River is because my first time ever in Front Royal, I stayed at the Hampton Inn right here on the side. And then when I got my, in the early morning hours, I went for my run down this way, across the same bridge we're gonna go into the city itself. And I'll just say this, I've never been in a place that had so many fast food restaurants in a small section, if you will. So I want to point that out, so when we're driving around, you're like, wait a second. Just something to look for. But let's go across the bridge. So we are now in the canoe capital of Virginia. We're crossing over the Shenandoah River, and then we'll be in Front Royal proper, as I call it. And yeah. Now I've had a relationship with this area since 2007, 2008. Hey, look, Popeyes. And we'll go straight. We'll go the scenic way. And then we'll get out of the car and I'll take you for a walk. So here's something that we don't really have as much in the north. See these vacation Bible schools? It's definitely a more conservative part of the country. It's not a bad thing, just sharing perspective. Note the different style houses for people that have seen my other vlogs. A lot of brick here. And this community is, speaking about the conservative aspects of it, it's steeped in a lot of history. You got Randolph Macon Academy there on the hill. And I always joked when I lived and worked in this region that unless my grandparents lived here and I was raised here, you'd never be considered like one of them. So even though I know the side streets and I can go, okay, we're going this way, doesn't matter. In case you're wondering where I used to live, this little white house on the right there. Didn't really come out right, but that's okay. It's okay. Found a place to park and we are gallivanting. Here's an old chapel right here. The Williams Chapel. It's the old Presbyterian church from 1845. Right here. This might be the first time that I've made a vlog where I'll show you the outside of churches and we won't go in any because it's a Sunday morning, and here in this area it's probably very rude to go in. Right in front of us is the Virginia Beer Museum. I know that's why everyone wanted to do this tour this morning. You're like, oh my God, we can learn about traditional ales and stouts. It's very cute, actually. That would be kind of fun to go in there. Next to a tavern over here. I will say they've done a lot in these last 15 years. Front Royal's really become a really a nice place, I think. Got your old barber shop right here, Mr. John's Barber Shop. So this is kind of like the center of it all. Here's your quintessential main street, if you will. Got your gazebo area right here. Remnants of the past. There's a trolley in the back over there. And then you have these beautiful lined streets with these flowers, and the buildings are painted a different color, even butterflies. And it's a nice little stretch. It's a nice scenic little walk. Here's your remnants of the past right here, the Front Royal Train Company. I only wish there was still a train that came through, because that would be super convenient coming from the DC area. But no, not so much. I will say one thing that's different from the last time I was here. Last time I was in Front Royal was about 2 years ago. I don't remember there being a lot of the murals on the sides of the buildings. And that's exactly what we have right here. Like, look at this. Here's the Virginia Buildworks, and they have a bunch of woodpeckers lining the side of the building. It's awesome. And then here's the old Proctor Briggs feed mill right next to me. But we're going to go down this way so you can get a feel for the area. Now, there was a pancake house that I used to go to, you know, maybe like once a month. But and it was funny because if you went at like a certain time, you couldn't you could count on the fact that you might be upsetting someone else's schedule who's a regular, and they would get bent out of shape if you sat in their spot. Now, this is a frozen treat place. I'm sure they have custard. Look at this nice spot. Oh my God, there's a bear right there. Just, I see those big letters of love right there. That's where I know some people who would want to pose for their Instagram photos. Here's the white picket fence. See, it's a very photo-friendly downtown, as I would like to say. A lot of different colors. Here's Frank's right here. I think, if I remember right, Frank's used to be a furniture place. But now the Element place moved from one spot to another. Oh, here we go. Should I be a small butterfly, or is that a moth? Or should I have these wings instead? Oh. That was for you. Note how I didn't really stay long enough to really enjoy it, but it's all good. They used to have, even 2 summers ago, there's different restaurants here that weren't here before. Front Royal Wines. An interesting kind of sub-fact, or side story, if you will, is this region of Virginia, you're very close to, like, at least as I heard on the radio driving in, that, oh, look at this, guys. Whoa. When I came in this morning to drive in here, one of the things that they had said is like the Charlottesville area, which is about an hour south of here, it was named like the #1 wine area in the entire world this year. So guess what? We're not that far away from there, so you get more of the same, I would imagine. I think we went too far down. Oh, maybe not. We've gotten off the Main Street path for a moment. I don't know why. So now I'm cutting us back into where we need to be. It's just... I've been on these streets so many times over the years for runs that it's sort of like I'm not really sure exactly where to start. That's why I'm showing you, like, or I will be showing you the important part, because really if you were to come here on like a for like an antiquing trip, really you just want to hit this Main Street area, and then maybe you'll go explore on some side roads down to to the more rural parts of Virginia, like Woodstock. Beautiful spot. So, okay. All right, let's go. All right, so now we're going to go this way. This is where I go for my coffee. So it's about 9 o'clock on a Sunday morning. Bakeries and coffee shops, there are several on this street, getting ready for the day. Now here's something that you don't always see. Most of our places have shut up, but this is the Royal Cinema right here, which is freaking great. It's a cute movie theater, and it's well worth the time to go in and enjoy a movie on a hot day, if you will. What's kind of fun for me, can you hear the church? It's the Catholic Church ringing their bells. I'll show you that in a moment. So one thing that it should be noted here, and I'll show you a better view, but you see this information marker here? The capture of Front Royal. So Stonewall Jackson captured this town from the Union back in 1862. And it's important to mention that because this is, as I said, a very traditional, proud part of that history. So here's the old courthouse right behind me. Beautiful church in the background right there. I don't know if it's Methodist or not. And then here's something a little bit more vintage. So this monument is to recognize the Confederate soldiers, the people that fought from Warren County and Front Royal specifically. And you can tell that because right above the 1861, it says CSA, Confederate States of America. So this came out in 1911. So years and years after the war. But for those people that served in a honorable way, yeah, this was a memorial to them, to those specific soldiers. So again, you can probably see that CSA right now. And I'll say this, it's not going to be as politically correct as people want it to be. But as they list the different battles, Bull Run, Seven Pines, Manassas, Chancellorsville, Chickamauga, Gettysburg, Shiloh, this is part of the past as well. So for people to want to erase part of that history, you don't see in this part of Virginia, you don't see these coming down. Just want to point that out. Here's a monument from World War I and World War II. They sought no glory, but their country's good. In memory of those who served in World War I and World War II. See, they put it in perspective. They're across from each other. Now, here's something funny. So this building directly across the street, as you can see, it needs a little bit of love. So what they did is they put some flowers in the windows. Very smart, very smart. Again, walking past the Royal Cinemas from 1930. Gonna swing down now. Past this colorful menagerie. Menagerie is not the right word, I guess. We're gonna hop in the car. I'm gonna show you a couple side streets. What's fun for me being back in this area is that I'm reminded of so many good moments and of different things that inspired me, the writer. So it's cool to be back. Even if the temperature's starting to increase, can feel that humidity creeping. But it's nice to be here. Now, you can't have a real tour of this city unless you take Randolph Macon Academy into account. Look at this beautiful house right here. Hopefully they have more than one bathroom now. But in all seriousness, You know, this school has been part of the community for over 100 years. And let me show you something that I especially appreciated about it. Established in 1892. It does a phenomenal job educating today's youth. So we're up near the gymnasium right now, because I would just suggest you should come and do your own visit. But I wanted to point out something that I think is phenomenally beautiful, that because it's the high point of town, if you want a great view, especially for like sunsets, you get this side of the mountains over here. And what's really kind of fun about it, what's fun about this spot, actually there are a couple things that are fun. When thunderstorms show up, they usually move across the mountains, and you can watch them go this way, and then they turn. So this is like the perfect vantage point of watching storms. And then on a completely different side note, I remember a great story. I was on duty here, and I was watching the kids from up at this vantage point, and they're all having fun out on the lower field here. They're having fun on this field. And then I noticed it, and then I saw this bear, I kid you not, a full-size bear, running across that fence on the sideline. And there were a bunch of trucks that were honking at the bear. Meanwhile, I'm screaming as loud as I can, more like shouting. So the kids would get away from the bear and go down towards this way. And then for the next few minutes, I just stood here and I watched as the bear got kind of pressed further and further and further until it ended up going into the town. I wish that I could say that was the only bear sighting I've had here on campus. Had several, but that always kind of stays with me. That's new to me anyway. Love. And while I could go show you Sonor Payne, what I wanted to show you was actually this chapel, where when I was a teacher here, because this school is affiliated with the Methodist Church, we would have a service here with the kids. We come in here once a week, and it's just a very pretty church. And again, you can't get in there right now, but it's got that quintessential Southern style, as I like to say, with the brick and the pillars, that contrast of red and white. Very, very pretty. And another side story. So we were in this church once, or I was in a professional development meeting once here. This is years ago. This is like 10 years ago, because I haven't taught here full time for over 10 years. But we're in this professional development meeting, and everything starts shaking, like the chandeliers. So I remember sitting in there thinking to myself, should I crawl underneath the pew or should I go outside? And there was like a pause with all the staff in there. We weren't sure what to do. But then when we ended up all leaving the building, but yeah, there was like an earthquake in this part of Virginia. This is kind of a funny moment. All right. So we're passing the funeral home right now, Maddox Funeral Home, which looks like they're actually getting ready for something. And this is next to the Catholic Church right here. What I wanted to show you is what used to be Warren County High School, but now is Skyline Middle School. But I've always considered it to be a beautiful building, and was like, you know what? If I was touring Front Royal, I'd want to see this place too. So here is Skyline Middle School right here. Look at this, isn't that beautiful? And again, this used to be the high school. until they built two high schools literally like 5 miles away from each other, Warren County High School and and the Skyline High School. But what's interesting about this, just kind of giving you more historical perspective, we saw those statues from before. So this originally was built in 1940, but to kind of just show kind of like how conservative this like region is or was at the time, in 1958, the local NAACP chapter, they won a federal suit against the Warren County School Board that was going to admit the African American students for the first time. And in response, the governor ordered this school closed in September 1958. The governor at the time, he had ordered this to occur. This was the first school shut down in Virginia under the state's massive resistance strategy. But then in 1959, the Virginia Supreme Court said that the massive resistance policy was unconstitutional, and it was reopened. So in February 18th, and this is a very important date in history in this region, February 18th, 1959, 23 African Americans walked up this hill and integrated this school. And that's a big deal. Big deal. But for me, being a northerner from New Hampshire and stuff like that, we didn't have, I don't have any stories like that from where I'm from. But maybe that puts into historical perspective why that they have a monument to the Confederate States of America as well, to those soldiers that fought. Just trying to show both sides of the argument, of course. Massive creature in the middle of the road. Different houses again. Oops. Giving you a different perspective of the area. I believe this is called the federal style. Or I could be making up the term, but I thought it was the federal style. All right, we are at Prospect Hill Cemetery. And you know what? I've never been in here before. Yeah, I've never been up here before. And I was going to make some joke about how, because I've run by the high school so many times, the middle school, of how, like, the people, it's fitting that they have a cemetery here because it must have been either the teachers or the students that filled this area. So Stonewall Jackson, he actually used this as a lookout point when they were getting ready to take Front Royal from the Union forces, if I remember right. And while that's interesting and all, what I wanted to point out right here, this monument, which by the way reminds me of the one I saw in Zalapia in Poland, is of the fallen Virginians, again from the Civil War. And this wasn't even the one that caught my eye when I drove in. When I drove in, I saw there was like an obelisk. I think that's what it's called. So see, this is from the 2nd Virginia Cavalry. And this was erected by the Ladies of Warren Memorial back in 1882. You see the saber right there they put up top, and it says, in memory of the 186 honored men who lie buried here from this and other southern states, they gave their lives in defense of truth and right. Huh. Interesting. Reminds me a little bit of when I was in Przemyśl, again back in Poland, and you went to like the World War I cemeteries, and in that cemetery they had like the Austrian-Hungarian cemetery, next to it was the German one, next to that was the Russian one. Yeah, So this is an old cemetery, Prospect Hill. Look how small these stones are at this point. Wow. And I know you have some people from the Revolutionary War also here, as I saw a memorial in front of the courthouse for that as well. Here's a specific family, their own little plot. And we're going to pass the trouts right here. Where I want to go to again is where these cannons are. This is what caught my eye. It's interesting, you walk around. I just was reading about a grave of someone who was born in Mecklenburg, Germany. And then they ended up dying here, but they were a doctorate of music and whatnot. And it talks about, you know, it speaks to me about the immigration past, especially here in the United States. So here's this statue. I don't know what it's towards, though. Oh. It's a little bit faded, but it's to some members of the 43rd Battalion, Virginia Cavalry. Now, if we were in Gettysburg, they have monuments like this. Yeah, so this was erected, and this is for Mosby's men. That's what this is. And it was in memory of the 7 comrades that were executed near this spot on September 23rd. Wow. I don't know if I mentioned to you guys, but yeah, Front Royal has a ton of history. All right. Maybe we should get out of the cemetery. We'll cheer up a little bit. We'll go do something fun. All right. So if you stay straight on this road, it takes you to Luray Caverns, takes you to Skyline Drive. Now, it's too early for strawberry shortcake, but if you want the best burger in this area, you got to go to Spelunkers, right here. Hands down. So now we're going to probably my most favorite spot in all of Front Royal. No exaggeration, I promise you. So again, note all the brick, a lot of brick homes. So this section of town, which is where their soccerplex is, right to our right, it has a large sentimental value for me because 10 years ago, when I wrote my Shenandoah Love, I based it off of this exact location, right here. Again, a driving tour would not be complete without more driving, right? I remember when this was first built, and I was so excited, and then it became my normal running spot where I would do sets down here, because you'd have like 3/4 of a mile, and at 6 in the morning, just absolutely quiet, just you and the deer. But let me show you why that you'll probably want to see this spot, and why really it's quintessential Front Royal, if you will. Take a look at this. Here's the Shenandoah River, guys. Now, you might be saying to yourself, wait, can we go closer? Of course you can. Of course you can. Look at this spot right here. Again, nice little bench. You and your whoever can sit here for a bit. And then just look out at the river. Now you'll see, it zoomed on me. There's a car going by right now. And you see that house over there? That's a beautiful road. I I love running on it. It becomes very narrow, but then it goes up the ridge line to the Front Royal Airport, if you will. Huh. All right, I'm getting hot. Getting hot. So, fittingly, there's some people with their canoes about to get in the water, or their kayaks, if you will. I am in as well. This is what I always would do. I recommend this to anyone that's in a Front Royal, even just for a few minutes to go into Shenandoah and feel the water. And if you're lucky enough to be here in springtime, when the current is actually like faster than it is now, you can kind of go out into the middle right here of the river, and you can like lay back and put your feet up, and then it will just carry you on. Which is why, for a good portion of the summer season, especially when after a recent rain, you'll see a lot of people here doing all of the tubing. But I'm going to leave you here with this. This is what Front Royal is also all about, is about the nature. And it really is a beautiful spot. I didn't get to show you everything I wanted to, all the fast food restaurants. That was in the opposite direction, but town has a lot of history, has a lot of interesting parts to explore. So I'll see you guys soon. Thanks for tagging along today. Peace.